Hey everyone, this is our new podcast, Push to Prod. I'm one of the co-hosts, Colin Gowdy, and with me today is my other co-host, Dan Miller. How you going, mate?
Hey, Cole. Nice to see you. Thanks very much for organising. I'm very excited by this, Cole.
Oh yeah, man! Like you don't know how long I've been trying to put something like this together, and it was just a miracle, man, that you reached out to me the other week.
The stars aligned. It's great.
Exactly. I think some people might actually know you. You actually ran a bit of a podcast, did you? We might get into that a little bit. I'm not sure, but I've never done anything like this. It's my first time.
Oh, it's probably one of those failed podcasts that started for a while and then just disappeared. Yeah, that's one of those. So I'm very excited to actually get back into it this time with a co-host. It's a lot more fun when you get to riff with other people. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of these things I've always wanted to do. And I'm sure we'll get into it this episode because we're going to pretty much I guess we thought the first episode is going to be more of, introducing ourselves. Everyone probably doesn't know who we are. I mean, some people might, we'll probably get some listeners who are friends and family, but hopefully we get others.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's good. There's some of the things I thought we'd cover today is backgrounds on who we are, why we're doing the show, and what to expect from the episodes ahead. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that sounds a really good place to start, mate. I like it.
Nice.
Obviously, one thing I was going to say though is you probably tell by our accents, we're not the usual North American or European hosts.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Sorry in advance if we start using crazy lingo that you don't really understand straight away. At any time, if we're not making any sense, get in touch with us and ask us some questions. We'll be sure to happy to help.
Yeah, no, totally. And I've been told I have a pretty Australian accent, so I will try and speak a little bit, enunciate the words a little bit. But when I get a bit going, if Dan's, if we get a bit excited, I don't know, the Aussie's definitely going to come out.
Yep. So you guarantee that's probably one of the things you guarantee to get on the show is some pretty Aussie background. So we're not shy and coming forward in that regards.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, who wants to go first? Who wants to share a bit of background?
Mate, tell us about yourself, Cole.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess I'm a tech co-founder of a couple of startups I've done. So my background's in software, always has been. Been doing that for close to over 20 years, I guess. Ironically, actually, I wanted to start in software, and my first job was actually doing hardware PCB board designs, which is at least got me a job. But
Wow,
then
that's
through
not
that,
common. That's cool.
no, I know it was very weird. Routing every wire on a circuit board, something that I didn't think I was going to be doing back then. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I think the beauty of that was you get to learn everything about a computer. It's not, there's you right in the guts of it, which was cool. But yeah, basically it was in a mining software sort of production mining software company. So a lot of hardware reporting data back up into software. And then over that period, I grew from hardware into the embedded side of stuff, into the web app, and then software design and management. Ran the dev team there, and then that was, what was that? 2009, and then I decided to call it quits. And went out by myself. And so from then, I've been either consulting, a lot of it in, say, Atlassian space and integration work and like very web based stuff. Or, my biggest, I guess, claim to fame, if you say that, is, a startup I started back in 2013 and exited in 2019. And then COVID. And then Use a Lot, which is the new one, which I'm sure you guys will hear plenty about, which is the second startup that I'm working on with a bunch of one of my old co-founders as well as some new co-founders. And you
Very
can probably hear
cool.
my dog.
Mate, you've got a very interesting background. It's not that many people get to sort of get into the real hardware and embedded systems path to building things. So that's pretty cool. I've got a software
Yeah.
background myself, but definitely none of that stuff that you described for sure.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate I did a computer science, computer engineering degree, so it was really good. I mean, I think I talked to you about this a little bit, but I think you don't, it like we were lucky back at that time, I think, to cover everything, and now it's just too complex. I don't think there's any way someone out of uni could, you know, cover that amount of technical space these days. It's too complex and,
And credit to you
um
if you do. You're
yeah,
doing
yeah,
very
that's
well.
right. I mean, yeah, I don't know how you could. So what's your background, Dan? How'd you end up on a
Yeah.
podcast like this?
Oh, mate, I've had a software dev background. That's where I started my career. I I was right into it. Like, back in the early days when before the internet even was invented, that's the sort of thing you did on your spare time at home, built software for fun, figured out how to use computers. It was just what I love to do. So that's where I ended up going to uni. Got my degree and started building software. I started in a government job, which was pretty boring. So pretty quickly out of that, I jumped into a private business where we were just building desktop software that we could sell to the open market, and it was a lot of fun. But sure enough, as things happen to a lot of engineers, I ended up switching to the dark side,
Yeah.
management. So that's where I am these days. I'm in full time consulting. Um, and I also run a small business with my wife on the side, co founder of a company called Trade Guardian. And we employ about 12 people. It's in the business administration outsourcing space,
Right.
and that's pretty cool. My wife runs it day to day, and I sort of do a lot of the stuff in the background. But
Exposes you to a lot of the sort of, I guess, ins and outs of running a business, though.
correct,
Yeah, yeah,
correct, and
yeah,
that's where my passion is. So you'll probably hear me talking about it in a moment. But I'm really, really interested in the business of software,
yep.
um, and I miss it so much. I just miss building things so much, so that um, I really started to get back into it. I don't know. It was around 2020 I started building my own products again, and then
Cool.
an opportunity kicked into my own business to create a new software system for our use. It's one of those scratch your own itch types of projects. And so, I set myself a goal of building something, and I was really enjoying it. And then, like you said, COVID happened. We were in lockdown, and we were effectively working from home and stuck there 24/7. So I didn't really feel like in those years spending every waking moment in front of a computer screen. So I put it on pause for a while, put the software dev journey on pause. And look, long story short, things are back to normal now, so I'm back into it,
Yeah,
and I'm
and
these
learning a lot,
days.
I guess. Like,
Oh
is
mate,
that
I'm
like
loving it. It's amazing how like how quickly it just comes back to you, but at the same time, it's pretty scary how slow you are when you start getting back into things. So
yeah.
anyway,
That's me
I'm
that's
that's
me if I touch the front end, man. I'm just like, yeah.
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
much more of a back end developer, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing these days. I'm just building myself this new software product for our business.
Yep.
It's a way of learning by doing, but also hopefully launching it for someone else to use in some day in the future,
So that
long-term
would be
goal.
it's not your main goal, but it would be something that you'd consider obviously if it worked out.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you're
pretty
building it
much.
primarily for
I'm not sort of pinning my hopes on it straight away, because I'm pretty busy with my consulting stuff at the side. But the long term goal is, of course, and that's pretty much what everyone's doing, is to generate some sort of income from it, and then eventually, hopefully, you've got the ability to jump off and do that full time. That's my goal for sure. Yeah,
yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, that isn't it? Like, that's the and just going back on your point about the business side, like, um that is exactly what I love as well. Like, it's yeah, I'm a software guy, but I'm not one of those people that nerd out on, the latest JavaScript framework or something like that. Like, my view is I want to run software businesses. When I started Social Pinpoint, when my co-founder Charles, which at some point hopefully we have him on, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to bootstrap up a SaaS product, and at the time we actually thought, yeah, it'll be just something little, so we'll sell it at some point, and just to learn the whole cycle of building and selling. We obviously did sell, but it took a little, like it actually grew bigger than we thought, which was good. Um, but all the time it was like, yeah, this is just number one. We're going to go, we'll do it again, we'll do it again, we'll do it again. I'm of the belief that you get everything in 10-year increments. So
yeah,
you get about 5 stints, 6 stints at something till you probably just want to retire and sit by the beach or not. But yeah, so that's I guess I'm in my second main one now, which we'll see how that goes.
very cool, mate. So I guess
Yeah.
people are probably listening, Cole, to you and I, thinking, "Who are these people rambling on?" And they're probably wondering why we're doing the podcast. So I don't know. What do you think? Why are we doing
Yeah.
this podcast, Cole? Because you're originally the person who put the call out on Twitter, and I saw that, and I went, "Yes, excellent!
Yep.
Someone in my local time zone who is interested in doing a podcast, who's in the same background space as I am." Yep, I jumped at that chance. Why did
Oh, you
you
did.
Why
It
did you
was
start that
yeah.
up? Why did you
Yeah,
want to
look,
do it?
as I said, like, I've tried it before, not successfully, like, I've never actually run a podcast, but there was, I guess why though, why would I even try it before, I guess? The big thing is, like, I just love talking about the journey and using, real life experience to sort of, when you it's I love, even at work, the best times isn't really at work. It's going for a beer afterwards or something and just chatting with, everyone in the whole business, not just the devs, everyone. And so, it's obvious, guys. I mean, the listeners here would know that there's a bunch of these podcasts. Some stay, some go. And I, over the last, I mean, 10 plus years or more, the amount that I've listened to. And, I'll give credit to things like, Startups for the Rest of Us, one of the longest running ones. That helped. I feel like I went along the journey that Rob did with that in Drip with Social Pinpoint, because it was around the same time. Obviously, you probably had a slightly better exit than us, but I mean, ours was still pretty good. So, but it felt like it was the same. It was weird. It was like the same time I was listening to him talking about performance issues, and so I was like, man, this would be cool. That would be a really cool thing to do. But I could never find the right combination of people to deal with. And it wasn't because they weren't the right people. It's just the timing. It's always timing, So people are busy, and
Nice.
and I was busy. So that's one reason. And what's one of the reasons that you want to do it?
Oh, for me, I reckon, mate, like I said before, I just love the world of software businesses. That's what I've been doing. I've been working in the software game in various roles my entire career. And look, to be honest, if there was an international society for the appreciation of software businesses, I'd probably be the president, Cole. That's pretty much why I wanted to get
Yeah.
into a podcast with you, because I thought, wow, someone with the same background, we pretty much hit it off. I mean, for those who are listening, you haven't caught up on the background, but Colin and I have actually had a few calls already over the last few weeks, and we're just hitting it off perfectly. We've
Yeah.
got really similar stories and also similar trajectories. Although, Cole, you're way ahead of me
Oh,
in
nah,
terms of the
don't say
software
that.
game. But
No.
yeah, that was one of the reasons why I thought I wanted to, get back into the podcasting game for sure. What about you? Anything else? Like anything you're
Yeah,
looking for?
yeah. Well, like obviously, I like it's not just talking about it, but I do feel like there's some benefit in not only talking to someone who isn't involved in my business. I think that's a really cool like sounding board, almost like I've tried masterminds before as well. And again, some of them are good. I find sometimes if you're with, and maybe it's the Australian market because it's so much smaller, you'll end up with a pretty varied group of people that aren't doing the types of stuff that you're really doing. And that's fine. But I just feel like sometimes you just don't get as much value out of it. Um, and so I think that's a good sounding board, which gives you that accountability. You start talking about things and you're like, oh crap, I talked about that. I better bloody get around to it. Or if you turn up to the podcast all the time and you're saying the same stuff and nothing's
That's
happening, like you
cool.
do might do it a stand up. it's
Yeah.
like it's like
Well,
you
look,
can't do that.
if we keep each other accountable in some way, shape, or form, at least that's a bonus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And look, I'll say though, what I really want to get out of it though, like, so, I think I like talking about it. I think it's going to help accountability. But man, I really hope it grows relationships and connections, like
Yep.
I would imagine every other person who's run at least a mildly successful podcast has met so many new people that they've just never met before.
I agree. Yeah. Actually, you know
Yeah.
how earlier you mentioned you used to listen to the podcast called Startups for the Rest of Us?
Yep.
I've listened to that as well over the years, and there's one thing that the guys on that used to talk about. They called it their luck surface area, right? And
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
the concept of putting yourself out there and getting to know a lot of people increases the surface area. For having luck come your way. So yeah, I reckon you've hit the nail on the
Oh,
head there.
no,
Just
I
getting
mean,
to know
yeah.
people and
I
getting out there.
That's interesting. Have you read some? So the other thing I'm doing this year is not only podcasts, is I'm trying to actually write content. I'm a tech guy. I can't write, but I'm trying. So, have you read any of my stuff?
I have, Colt. You're actually pretty
Oh,
interesting. Like you've got a real
okay.
thinker's mind.
Right, okay, I didn't. But yeah, when you just said the Lux surface area, I just straight away I just think, yeah, that's that. My article I wrote the other day literally was on being around the ball, and that's the same thing. It's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
if you're not in the game, if you're not always around the action, then luck's never gonna like it's the ball's never gonna bounce to you. But if you're always
Nice.
around the area, and so that's I think that's what separates a good player from a great player. They're always around the ball, and luck shines on them. Because they're there. It's not really luck. It's more just they're putting themselves out there. So yeah, it's a
Yeah, it's
really
true.
really good point. Yeah.
I like what you said about the community side of it, because that was one of the things I wanted to sort of do this show for as well. Look, every day at the moment, I'm just researching, learning new things. putting it into practice, all about, building software, but also starting businesses around software. And so for me, the show is a way of sharing what I've learned and what I know about the business of software and
Mm.
learning more about things that I don't know as well yet as well. I really want to use this in both as sharing, but also a learning point of view. So
Yeah, yeah.
giving back to the software business community, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. So if you're out there listening, I'm basically doing this for you as much as I am doing it for me.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it looks the same as me. Like I've got, I feel like coming and I've already noticed this, like, so, I mean, a little bit slight background, detour, I guess, and I'll do that all the time. I'll go on tangents. So I actually and I'll do another tangent right now. My co-founder, Charles, I was talking to him yesterday about this podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, no," and because I just wanna, you wanna make sure everyone's okay with, what you're gonna talk about. I'm not gonna share everything, but we'll share as much as we can. Um and he was just like, "Yeah, just don't have too many drinks." So, because I tend to ramble when I've had too many, if I haven't, so that's all good. Yeah, but like that's the thing. That's what you want to, you want to know that what you're doing and what you're putting out there, people can, I guess, feedback on it. And you learn just as much about putting something out there from other people as they learn from you. So that community is really going to build that up. Hopefully, we'll give them good content, and they will actually want to connect with us, I guess.
That's a good call. So, yeah, I guess speaking of content and what we are putting out there, what should people expect that we're doing in the episodes ahead? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so I mean, with I would like to probably cover a lot of. There might be a little bit of trend stuff, what's happening around the place, and we can have a bit of a chat about anything that's sort of in the news, so to speak. But I mean, primarily, I'd like to try. I'll call it a little bit of building public stuff for use a lot, which is our new software that I'm building. Well, not just me, but obviously with our team. And with that, just a bit of that journey, which we couldn't really do as much with Social Pinpoint. We didn't, we didn't really share it as such. So I'd like to try that a little bit more with that. So that's going to cover, I guess, where we're up to with it. We've built a lot of the product, but we're trying to get it out there and market, and then I mean, we'll go into the background of that, I think, in future ones for sure, so people understand what I'm building. But at the end of the
Yeah, cool.
day, it's a product that's in a big space with big competitors. So we're like, why the hell are we doing this? But we'll give it a go. But as a result, you're always trying to work out the positioning of it and what should you actually do versus not, and should we take funding? Should we not? So those type of questions would be really cool, and
I
as
reckon
well
it's an
as
awesome
just
point
problem
to
solving it.
leverage off. Like
Yeah.
I love having the ability to actually sort of just bounce ideas, which you guys are facing in your day to day stuff. Same thing from my point of view. It probably wouldn't be as public because I'm not actually building anything for anyone at this point in time other than my
Yeah.
own business. But that's a really good point. Like even if we're facing challenges or things that we're considering, I'm sure there's going to be people out there who are sort of interested in that topic as well. So that's a really good way to start.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Totally.
I'm probably going to get a lot out of this from just learning in public as opposed to building in public. So we can probably end up with two sides of the coin there. You're like I said before, a little bit more advanced than I am, but at the same time, I am picking up a lot as I go, and I love sharing that sort of stuff back with people. Yeah, so I reckon
Yeah.
that's another thing that people could expect.
Yeah, cool,
Um,
yeah. And I think just not just on news a lot as in terms of, like building it and all that, but also just like I'm pretty passionate about how you structure a business and the culture and all that sort of stuff as a startup and as you grow. So, and whether or
yeah,
not that was the product we're building or the next product, I think a lot of those things are things that are sort of, I won't say they're non-negotiable, but sometimes they are. You don't want to work. You only want to work in certain businesses, and that's why you're an entrepreneur. You create your own. You try work in someone else's, and it's never quite right. So
yeah.
those are cool, sort of I don't know, touchy feely subjects rather than technical, but I think they're pretty cool that people want to listen to as
Oh, for
well. I
sure.
think.
I got a lot to give to that as well. I mean, I won't provide any details, but with our business in the background, we look after hundreds of different companies across Australia, and you get to know certain patterns and certain things about what works for businesses and what doesn't. And there's always some good stories that you can tell, not about the details, but about the lessons learned. So I'd love to be able to share some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Um,
that's cool. Yeah, I mean that's the main things. I mean, I really hope that hopefully as we bring up topics, I mean, yeah, we think I mean, I guess, Dan, that our plan right now maybe is to sort of focus a topic on an episode, although we're gonna just let ourselves ramble a bit as well. Like, I'm sure
Yeah, for sure.
we won't just have one topic. There might be a primary topic, but, I guess we'll go along with it and wing it a lot of the time. Not wing it, but, we've got a little bit of prep, but not a lot. Just trying to bring some things that are interesting and then what's on our mind and, yeah, back and forth on it.
I love it. One of the other things I really like about some of the other podcasts that are out there is occasionally you'll get listener questions. So people will just contact us and sort of say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Or "Can you help me with this
Mm.
sort of scenario?" So if you're listening to this, even if it's, even if we're down the line and we're already recorded a few more episodes after this, but if you're listening to this for the first time, if you've got any questions, definitely get in touch with us. We'll give you the contact details at the end of the show for sure. But we want to hear from you. So yeah, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have set up there was a Gmail, we've set up a Twitter, so we'll definitely share that at the end. And obviously, the actual show notes and all that stuff on our host platform, which I guess we'll go Transistor FM. I mean, that's part of the fun thing of this was putting back, going through all the list of, okay, how do you record? What do you use? All that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
I
At
know.
least for
Yeah.
me, it was all new because I haven't actually done it.
I like what you said. I'm a big fan of just simplifying things these days. And so, yeah, um, grabbing something like Transistor for hosting, that'll give us the ability to, get the site, get the hosting for the show, get it pushed to all the podcast directories out there as well. Just, click of the fingers without having to worry about it. I'm happy with that for sure.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's just yeah, time's too short to be. I mean, yes, we can do it all manually, but it's and look, I want to support the guys too. I've followed their podcasts. Since the beginning, not beginning of Transistor, but definitely the beginning of once they went full time on it. It's really an interesting product to see grow so much in such a growing space. So, finally get to support them by paying them a subscription by the look of it.
Agreed. Agreed. So the more we can do for people in the community, why not? um,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Ah, cool.
I actually did go and try and find us a Twitter handle, Cole, but I couldn't get the exact one I was looking for. So at the moment, it's what's push to prod pod. That's our
Yeah.
Twitter handle.
Yeah, and it is actually our Gmail too as well, I think now, isn't it? Push to prod pod at
Yep,
gmail.com. I think it is. We'll
that's
check
it.
that. You'll get it in there. We'll do a proper outro and you'll have it. But yes, for some reason we could not get push to prod Twitter, even though it says it's not there. So maybe it's one of those ghost accounts that no one does. What's in the name? Why don't we talk about the name too? Why did we choose
Yeah, that's
push to prod? Because I
cool.
know we went through a few things.
Well,
What did it
we
mean for
started
you?
thinking about what are we doing here? Is this going to be a show about just Cole and Dan? Is this about, or what? Do we have a topic here to focus on? No. Yeah, we're actually talking about software. We're talking about the business of software. Um, and some of the things that we were rattling through, we started thinking about the term startup or SaaS, and they're pretty generic and it's pretty done these days. Um, and a topic that is really common when you actually are building software is, pushing your product to the
Mm.
production environment. That's what your goal is regularly. Don't just sit around and build for the sake of building. The idea is just to get your work out there into people's hands as quickly as you possibly can. And
Yeah,
so that's what we thought.
absolutely.
Let's get this
Yep.
podcast out there as rough as it is right now. So sorry if
Yeah.
you're listening to us ramble, but that was the idea. We wanted to push this to production as quickly as we possibly can, and we'll tidy it up in the weeks and months ahead. Promise you. But for now, we're just building in public. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah,
Push
no,
to prod.
that's awesome. That's a good yeah, and look, we'll go through this again, but one of the, sort of values that you use a lot we talk about is, production over perfection, and that's the same sort of concept, like just get it out there, fix it. Don't push crap out, but push it out where you can get feedback, valuable feedback, because that's by far the more important thing than, sitting back and polishing it in your bedroom type thing. So,
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
so we thought push to prod was cool. Found an interesting little icon there, which I thought, sort of reflected the idea of a build going red and then
I
green. So,
love it.
uh,
Wait until you
I don't
see
know
the
if people
icon,
have any
folks. It's pretty
feedback.
cool.
Yeah. That's really good. Hopefully people resonate with that name and, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, I find, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, yeah. It
Oh,
comes up often though. Yeah, like you'll hear it if you're working in the software game. You'll hear it quite often. Yeah, all right, everyone, are we going to push to prod today? Yep.
yeah,
Certainly, you don't want to hear that on a Friday night, just as you're about to pack up for the day and go away for the weekend. You don't want to be pushing to prod
exactly.
on Friday night. But yeah,
Done that though before, but anyway. But yes, that's good. That's good advice, Dan. Yeah.
Cool. Well, mate, we've probably rambled on enough for the intro episode. What do you reckon? I reckon people
Yeah,
have got a
yeah,
good
no,
idea about who
really
we
good.
are, why we want to do the show, and what's coming their way. So,
Yeah, and I think the coming episodes we're going to chat a little bit about funding, a little bit about probably a little bit. I'll deep dive a little bit on the background of what Uselot is. I think that might be a good sort of setting the scene of what we're actually trying to build, and then whatever else comes to mind, we'll start doing. So hopefully people are enjoying another podcast. I did notice a few of these type of sort of gone on hiatus. So hopefully I don't know, we'll carry on,
yeah,
fill
carry
up
the
the
mantle.
space a little bit. Yeah. Carry the
Actually, you're
mantle.
right. There has been some amazing folks who have done similar sort of podcasts, just like this one, over the last few years. And you've got to give a shout out to them. At some point, maybe we'll have an episode, Cole, where we talk about our favorite podcasts, because that'd be a
Yeah,
nice
that'd be
way
good.
to give back to those that have been before us. There's some
Absolutely. Yeah.
excellent leaders in this space. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm probably strange. People probably go, "What the hell are you doing, Colin?" But I mean, I definitely, I listen when I go for runs and stuff. I listen to this type of podcast stuff. Um, I don't. For some reason that's sort of how I zone out. But I don't know what it is. Sometimes I can, even if I'm not in the mood, um, I feel like you put something like that in and you still come away with it, but with some value. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and it
for
actually
sure.
gets you in the mood. You get back and go, oh yeah, I want to get in to do this thing, whatever it is. So yeah, and sometimes even you look at the podcast episode title and you go, oh, I don't know if that's something I need to, but then you listen to it and you go, man, there's always just something in there. There's always a nugget most of the time. So I'm hoping we can do that for other people, hopefully. So yeah.
Sure. We hope there's a little bit of gold and treasure in here, not just junk. We'll get there.
No worries, Dan. That's really good, man. So yeah, hopefully everyone, keep listening, subscribe to us, share it, and hopefully we'll see you on episode 1.
Cool. Thanks, Cole. I'll talk to you later.
Cheers, mate. Bye.